Chapter 3, Cell Structure and Function. In this short recording, we're going to talk through the first part of Chapter 3, which is on the cell theory. As the science of biology was developing years ago, one of the first concepts that really brought together many different ideas within science was the cell theory. We were figuring out what things are made of and what's the basis of life on this planet. It took many, many scientists all working in conjunction with one another, not necessarily together at the same time, but sharing their results with one another to come up with the three components of the cell theory. And so we have these right here. They're simply that all living things are made of cells. All cells come from other existing cells. And this one, cells are the basic unit of structure and function. This is why we study cells in biology, because the smallest component of a living thing, the smallest structural thing that you are made of, or the smallest part of you that can function like you can, is a cell. So understanding how cells work really is very important to have a true understanding of the field of biology. Most cells are going to have certain characteristics in common. Things like they are generally very small. They are all built from the same types of molecules, those carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids that we saw in Chapter 2. They all contain a jelly-like substance, which is called cytosol. It's often called cytoplasm. We'll refer to them either way, either term works, and that is surrounded by some type of a semi-permeable membrane. Now, there is some variability in the membranes, of course, but for the most part, all living things have to have these components. Some cells also contain organelles. Not all of them. There are some cells out there that don't have those little organs inside of them that perform certain functions. Organelles are simply a membrane-bound compartment that perform a certain task or a certain process. So we have these two kinds of cells. If we look at all the cells on the planet, we can divide them into one of these two categories. They're either prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Prokaryotes are always going to be bacterial cells. Every prokaryote on the planet that we know of is classified as a prokaryote. They do not have some of the organelles that the larger eukaryotic cells have. Like a prokaryote does not have a nucleus. It has no membrane-bound organelles. These are ancient cells. These are the first living things on the planet. So this is your basic prokaryote. You can see it still has a cell membrane. It still has cytoplasm in the middle. And all the cell processes simply occur in this open chamber. So they're much simpler and they're much smaller than their larger eukaryotic descendants. Now, eukaryotic cells, eukaryotes, evolved from prokaryotes. A eukaryotic cell is going to be any cell that is not a bacteria. So anything that's not one of the bacterial cells we consider to be eukaryotic. Eukaryotes do contain both a membrane-bound nucleus as well as other organelles, and we know that they evolved from their simpler, older prokaryotic ancestors. So here's a basic eukaryotic cell. And you can see it still has a cell membrane around the outside. It still has cytoplasm in the middle. There's the nucleus and a variety of organelles spread throughout the inside of the cell, each performing its own specific task. All right, we're going to talk about the organelles in the next recording.